the Siberian city of Angarsk, a place of harsh winters and even harsher realities. Here, Mikhail Popkov, the Werewolf of Angarsk, committed his unspeakable crimes. Popkov, a former police officer, preyed on women for nearly 2 decades. He confessed to 83 murders, making him one of the most prolific serial killers in history. His victims, mostly women, left brutally slain in the icy wilderness. Behind the facade of normalcy, a loving husband, a devoted father, a respected lawman, hid a sadistic killer. Popkov's case is a chilling reminder that evil can lurk in the most unexpected places. The story of Mikhail Popkov is not for the faint of heart. It is a descent into the darkest recesses of the human psyche, a journey into the mind of a monster. To the outside world, Mikhail Popkov was the epitome of ordinariness. He lived a seemingly unremarkable life with his wife and daughter in Angarsk. He was a devoted family man, a loving husband, and a doting father. Neighbors described him as quiet and unremarkable. He was the last person anyone would suspect of harboring dark secrets. Beneath this normalcy lurked a monster, driven by an insatiable bloodlust and twisted morality. Popkov's double life was a web of deceit. He used his position as a police officer to gain trust and carry out his crimes. The duality of Popkov's life is perplexing. How could a man be so normal, yet so depraved? This contrast deepens the mystery surrounding Popkov. While pinpointing the exact genesis of a serial killer's psyche remains an elusive quest, certain factors in Popkov's life offer glimpses into the darkness that festered within. Some experts point to a potential origin story rooted in a deep-seated resentment towards women. This theory finds its basis in Popkov's own claims that his killing spree began after suspecting his wife of infidelity, an event he never confirmed nor forgot. However, this narrative of revenge against an unfaithful wife may be too simplistic, too convenient. Peeling back further layers reveals a man grappling with profound insecurity and a need for control, traits possibly exacerbated by his profession. The authority vested in him as a police officer, the power he wielded over others, might have fed a growing sense of superiority and a dangerous belief that he was above the law. This internal conflict, the struggle between the facade of normalcy and the burgeoning darkness within, likely intensified over time. Each act, each life brutally taken, may have chipped away at the thin veneer of sanity, fueling the monster within and propelling him further down the path of depravity. Popkov's reign of terror followed a chillingly consistent pattern, a testament to the calculated and predatory nature of his crimes. He primarily targeted women, often those he deemed immoral or leading a promiscuous lifestyle. This warped sense of judgment, this self-proclaimed role as a moral arbiter, became a chilling hallmark of his crimes. His weapon of choice varied, a gruesome testament to the brutality of his crimes. Axes, knives, screwdrivers, whatever served his purpose in those moments of unspeakable violence. The killings were always brutal, often frenzied, as if fueled by a rage that could only be satiated through the infliction of pain. He would often dismember the bodies, scattering them in the vast Siberian wilderness surrounding Angarsk, a macabre attempt to erase his crimes and instill terror in the hearts of the community. His victims, often intoxicated or alone after a night out, were particularly vulnerable, easy prey for a predator hiding in plain sight. He would approach them in his police car, offering them a ride home, a symbol of safety and security that he would twist into a weapon of terror. Section 5. Cleaning up the streets, a twisted justification. One of the most disturbing aspects of Popkov's case is his chilling justification for the murders. He saw himself not as a monster, but as a cleaner, purging the streets of Angarsk of women he deemed immoral or unworthy. This warped sense of morality, this self-righteous belief that he was somehow making the world a better place, is a chilling reminder of the depths of human depravity. This self-imposed role as a moral arbiter, as judge, jury, and executioner, was likely rooted in a need for control, a desire to exert power over those he perceived as beneath him. It was a way for him to reconcile his own internal conflicts, his own perceived inadequacies, by projecting them onto his victims. His twisted logic, his belief that he was somehow improving society through his horrific acts, is a chilling testament to the power of delusion and the dangers of unchecked rage and resentment. Section 6. The walls close in, the investigation. For years, the people of Angarsk lived in fear as the body count mounted. The authorities faced increasing pressure to catch the elusive killer who seemed to vanish into thin air after each horrific act. The investigation, plagued by false leads and dead ends, stretched on for years, the lack of progress fueling a growing sense of despair and frustration among investigators. The turning point came in the late 2000s when investigators decided to re-examine cold cases using new DNA technology. They began meticulously collecting DNA samples from men who had lived in Angarsk during the time of the murders, hoping for a match that would finally break the case wide open. Popkov, despite having left the police force years earlier, remained on their radar, his past connection to law enforcement making him a person of interest. However, it was his own arrogance, his belief that he was too clever to be caught, that would ultimately prove to be his downfall. Section 7. Unmasking the Monster, Capture and Confession. In 2012, after years of relentless investigation, justice finally caught up with Mikhail Popkov. A DNA match linked him definitively to the murders, shattering his carefully constructed facade of normalcy and exposing him for the monster he truly was. The arrest sent shockwaves through Angarsk, as the man once entrusted with upholding the law was revealed to be the very person terrorizing its citizens. Initially, Popkov denied any involvement in the murders. However, as the weight of the evidence against him grew, he began to crack. He eventually confessed to the murders, providing investigators with chilling details of his crimes. His confession was a horrifying glimpse into the mind of a serial killer, a detailed account of his motivations, his methods, and his twisted justifications. Popkov's trial was a media sensation, the world captivated by the depravity of his crimes and the banality of his demeanor. He showed little remorse for his actions, often appearing detached and emotionless during the proceedings. In 2015, he was found guilty of 22 murders and sentenced to life in prison. Section 8. Life Behind Bars, Justice, and Further Revelations. Life behind bars did little to quell the darkness that resided within Mikhail Popkov. Instead of fading into the obscurity of prison life, he continued to shock and horrify the world with further revelations about his crimes. In a series of chilling confessions, he admitted to dozens more murders, ultimately claiming responsibility for the deaths of over 80 women. His motivations for these confessions remain a subject of debate. Some believe he was seeking notoriety, a way to ensure his infamy lived on long after his death. Others speculate that he was driven by a desire to exert control, a way to shock and horrify a world that had already condemned him. Whatever his reasons, Popkov's confessions painted a horrifying picture of a man consumed by darkness, a man for whom killing had become an addiction, a compulsion he was unable to control. His case stands as a stark reminder of the depths of human depravity and the importance of never forgetting the victims of such horrific crimes. Section 9. The Echoes of Horror, a Legacy of Pain and Unanswered Questions. The legacy of Mikhail Popkov continues to haunt the city of Angarsk and the families of his victims. The scars of his crimes run deep, a constant reminder of the darkness that once gripped their community. The sheer scale of his brutality, the sheer number of lives lost, is difficult to even comprehend. Despite his capture and imprisonment, a sense of unease lingers. The true extent of Popkov's crimes may never be known. Did he claim even more victims than he confessed to? What drove him to such extremes of violence? These unanswered questions continue to haunt investigators and the families of his victims, a constant reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the most seemingly ordinary lives. The story of Mikhail Popkov is a chilling reminder that monsters do exist, and that sometimes they walk among us, hiding in plain sight. It is a story that forces us to confront the darkest aspects of human nature and to never forget the victims of such unspeakable crimes.